Hi everyone, Eric's on the mic. To start with a little backstory. On the GTA Forums website, there was an interesting user with the username John Doe. As far as we know, this individual spent several years purchasing all sorts of documentation related to the development of GTA, as well as various technical materials from former Rockstar employees. However, the issue was that this person sold the information for profit. At some point, one of the fans of the GTA series decided to leak these documents online so that everyone could access them. If we open the document titled GTA_DD, we can immediately see 5 technical documents. Today we'll focus on the largest one, GTA 3 Online DD.pdf. In short, this is a modest document about GTA Online, which essentially serves as a massive footnote to everything we never got to experience. I've gone through all the information in this document and picked out what I found most interesting to share with you today. The GTA 3 online document is dated May 31st, 2001, and is version 1.2. What's particularly intriguing is that every page features the logos of Rockstar, Barking Dog Studios, and a specific GTA Online logo. The fact that an online mode was planned during the development of GTA 3 is no longer a secret, especially given the many locations that were cut from the game, but have since been revealed by various YouTubers. However, the main issue was technical limitations. As you may recall, GTA 3 was initially released on the PS2. This is why on page 6 of the document we can see the developer's primary goal, to create one massive zone divided into several segments, populating it with players. It's logical to assume that this refers to islands and factions, which we'll discuss later. Essentially, players would have been able to choose any part of the map where they felt most comfortable doing their activities in GTA Online. Interestingly, many of these ideas, even 23 years after the document's publication, have made their way into later entries in the series and even into the main GTA Online product. For GTA 3 Online, the developers drew inspiration from several games, including the Counter-Strike series and, surprisingly, the Fallout series. Imagine being able to create a single character and jump from server to server with that same character. This is a somewhat odd observation, though I noticed that the document's introduction often includes behind-the-scenes details, likely intended for directors to better understand the development process and technical aspects. Online would have featured a reputation system between various factions divided into 2 stages. Some reputations would benefit the player, while others would have negative consequences. Naturally, this concept was borrowed from previous entries in the series. The logic here is straightforward. Working for one faction boosts your reputation with them, but lowers it with others. Rockstar has consistently used similar systems, and if we look back at GTA 1, we can see how they drew inspiration from multiple universes to build their series. Moving on to the 7th point, we can observe the precursors to Fallout, which likely influenced the developers. GTA 3 Online was supposed to include mechanics like skill checks and stats checks. The stats would display the player's current progress in abilities such as intelligence and strength, with over 20 different stat categories. However, this system seems somewhat out of place in the context of GTA's world. The game also offered a diverse mission system. For example, there was a mission involving the daughter of a mafia boss. If you had a positive reputation with the mafia, but not with another gang, let's call them Gang A, you would be tasked with protecting her. On the other hand, if your reputation was positive with Gang A and negative with the mafia, you would instead be asked to kidnap her. These missions were randomly generated based on the player's current reputation with each faction. Each gang offered its own loyalty, perks, and bonuses. For instance, the Mafia paid more for car thefts, but they also had a significant issue with the police, which could complicate things for the player. When choosing a faction in the 2001 version of GTA Online, you had to weigh the pros and cons. I usually start by deciding which negative bonus is the lesser evil, and then focus on the positive aspects. This creates a decent balance, though there's often one overpowered faction everyone gravitates toward. To keep gameplay interesting, you could always set additional challenges for yourself. On page 8, the police system is discussed. Similar to the story mode in GTA 3, the police operated as a unified AI. However, players could report crimes to dispatch units directly to another player's location. This reminded me of a feature that still exists in modern GTA Online, but works slightly differently. In the current version, you can use your phone to hire a thief to rob another player. Similarly, committing a large number of murders earns you a special status visible to all players on the map, essentially marking you as a target. This system of hiring outsiders to harm other players is reminiscent of the thief mechanic. However, the killing system in modern GTA Online is player-driven, whereas in the 2001 version, it was the police who could eliminate players. This seems like a strange system by today's standards, but since it never made it into the final game, we can only view this document through the lens of its time. The game originally envisioned an offline chat system similar to ICQ and the integration of voice chat via a microphone. I'm not sure if this was innovative at the time, as I didn't have internet access until 2007, but it was certainly a solid idea for enhancing player communication, especially for those tackling cooperative missions together. Additionally, the game was supposed to feature a pirate radio station. From what I understand, this would allow players to add their own custom tracks, which would play after the station's dialogue segments. In the case of GTA 3, this station was Chatterbox FM 109. Essentially, you could listen to your own music by placing tracks in the game's folder. Now let's talk about the online structure. It was designed to incorporate MMORPG elements, which might surprise some, as GTA Online today is often seen as a fun, chaotic experience rather than a progression-heavy game. According to page 10 of the technical documentation, character development was prioritized over casual gameplay. Your character's progression directly influenced the open world and gameplay, and your level determined whether you'd need help from other players for certain missions. This system essentially introduced auto-leveling, adjusting mission difficulty based on the player's current level. However, I'm still curious about how cooperative missions would work if players had vastly different levels. Interestingly, the online mode was intended to be a standalone game. The document mentions that you didn't necessarily need a licensed copy of Grand Theft Auto 3 to access it. Instead, there was a full guide on how to launch the online product. It seems Rockstar was already considering something akin to GTA Plus back in 2001. The document also outlines the host server function, allowing up to 4 characters per session. Saving the game required renting property, as noted on page 14. Alternatively, you could save at benches in parks or in bars and nightclubs, which served as exit points for your session, rather than using the escape menu as we're accustomed to today. Character creation had its own section where you could customize your character's appearance, including limbs, and allocate stats and bonuses during creation. You could also choose their clothing. However, GTA 3's customization was far more limited compared to GTA Online's detailed system, where you can select parents and create a unique character from scratch. Let's talk about attributes. And then this topic is both extremely complex and fascinating at the same time. We were presented with several attributes, so let's break them down one by one. Strength affects how many items a player can carry, the destruction of objects with melee weapons, fist damage, and the ability to drag corpses. Dragging corpses, by the way, is a relatively new feature, though we still haven't seen it implemented. Even in GTA 5, this mechanic wasn't present, at least not in the online mode. Perhaps Rockstar thought it would be too complicated to implement. Dexterity enhances all characteristics related to the character's limbs, including weapon recoil. This one is straightforward. Aim punch, on the other hand, refers to the upward jerk of your weapon's barrel when you're hit by an enemy. Agility determines the duration of running, jump height, climbing over objects, and dodging. This means you could potentially dodge a bullet even if it was perfectly aimed at your character. Charisma is a trait for interacting with NPCs. It doesn't affect gang reputation, and negative effects can't be suppressed by charisma. On this attribute feels a bit odd to me, as conversations with NPCs were rarely emphasized in the documentation. It might have been useful in certain missions, but overall it seems like charisma was the least impactful attribute in GTA 3 Online. Intelligence relates to the character's logic, the speed and success of car theft, and similar situations that depend on luck. Essentially, if your character was highly intelligent, they could navigate tricky situations that required either luck, skill, or specific in-game knowledge. Not the players, but the characters within the world of GTA 3 Online. Perception highlights nearby targets. If your perception is highly developed, you can see almost everything around you, both positive and negative. This includes interactive objects, weapons hidden in alleys, collectibles, and even police presence. This aspect really lets your imagination run wild, especially considering this is a 23-year-old document. Finally, there's melee and ranged combat, which had a full damage calculation formula based on how much you leveled up either skill. If you preferred close quarters combat, you'd focus on melee, while ranged combat was for those who enjoyed fighting from a distance. This progression system unlocked new abilities for your character, such as self-healing without medkits or new melee combat techniques. We know that this system eventually made its way into GTA San Andreas, but it was originally conceived for GTA 3 Online through various mechanics like these. The skill table is also included in this document. You can review all the required attributes for a specific skill and understand its overall benefits. I believe the most challenging aspect here is helping the player grasp what kind of progression is needed to unlock a particular skill. I'm sure there would have been some submenu or a dedicated web page explaining this, but now it's up to the player to figure it out on their own, which can be quite time-consuming. Appraisal. This ability allows you to gather complete information about any object you pick up, including its purpose, value, crafting potential, and more. For example, when starting a new game, you might pick up an item with 4 unknown effects. You can discover these effects by experimenting with the item. Chemistry. This skill involves creating explosives, medicines, ingredients, and more. The word ingredients caught my attention because it likely refers to consumable items that influence the creation of more complex objects. Intimidation. This skill lets you extract information from NPCs by threatening them. Initially, I considered this the most useless skill in the game, especially in relation to charisma. However, after reading the description, I realized its value. It seems you can extract useful information from random passersby, such as the location of targets or recent events. I'm not sure if this applies only to NPCs spawned during quest triggers or to any NPC in general. Pickpocket. This skill allows you to steal from other players, which is quite intriguing. I've mentioned this before in relation to the thief mechanic in GTA Online. Stealing from an AFK player is one thing, but I don't recall a passive mode where players could avoid interactions or being killed. Without such a mode, players could easily be robbed or attacked. Factions and reputation. This section spans 5 pages and covers various groups, including ordinary thieves, con artists, the mafia, the yakuza, with female characters not present in the main storyline of GTA 3, and the triads, among others. Each faction is described in detail, highlighting both positive and negative aspects depending on whether you choose to join them or not. On page 36, there's a mention of something called gang wars. I probably won't even include footage of it because, well, I think you already know which GTA game eventually implemented this concept. Good old GTA San Andreas. Moving on to character interaction on page 42. If you have an item but lack the skills to use it, you can team up with another player who can help you interact with it. I've mentioned this before. Essentially, you can play with your friends, each specializing in different skills. Some might focus on strength and melee combat, while others could be intellect-based, excelling in long-range weaponry. However, when it comes to interacting with specific items, you'll either need to find a third player, respects your character's build, or even create an entirely new character as an alternative. Next, the right-click menu mechanism on page 43. You press one button, then right-click to bring up a cursor, allowing you to select the interaction you need. It's pretty straightforward. Now think about how often you use this kind of interaction menu in GTA Online. On page 46, HP locations on body and to hit modifiers are discussed. I've touched on this indirectly before, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Damage to different body parts, arms, legs, head, torso, results in various negative effects. Unfortunately, I didn't notice any mechanics where, for example, a broken limb would slow you down. In fact, there's even a skill that lets you run faster despite injuries, which is interesting but not fully explored. The damage calculation formula, including armor penetration, piercing, or direct HP damage, is detailed on page 48. There are several formulas here, but as we know, GTA Online doesn't really have piercing mechanics. Walls, for instance, can't be penetrated. What happens if you're killed? There are a few options. If you're injured, you can go to the hospital yourself. If the police are after you, you'll be sent straight to jail. In jail, all your money, items, and contraband are confiscated and you can't get them back. So, dying can actually be a decent way to shake off persistent pursuers. Just make sure you don't have any wanted stars or else you'll lose everything. On page 53, it's revealed that as early as 2001, Rockstar had already conceptualized character emotions in various animations, like leaning against walls or smoking. Some of these animations eventually made their way into GTA 3, though it's unclear if all of them did. It would have been cool to see these specifically designed for online play. That's pretty much everything I wanted to share. I won't be publishing the actual files because I don't want to get into legal trouble with Rockstar. However, you can easily find these documents online, like on the Internet Archive. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to play a version of GTA Online that aligns with what the developers envisioned back in 2001. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me create more videos. Until next time, friends.